Welcome into the 617 podcast, brought to you by the Crow-Worthy Network, the voice of the Boston fans by the fans, here on all your podcast platforms and on YouTube as well. If you have not subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to the podcast as well on YouTube. Hit that subscribe and the bell button. Make sure you never miss an episode. I'm your host for today, Craig D'Alessandro. I'm joined by both Rayshon Buchanan and Joe Malkin, recapping the Patriots' 27-24 loss to the Green Bay Packers and previewing the upcoming Sunday home game versus the Detroit Lions in their home retro Reds, actually. Today's episode of the 617 is brought to you by BetUS.com, where you can get 125% sign-on bonus by using the promo code CROW at sign-up. This episode is also brought to you by the fine folks over at BenchClearers.com. Bench Clearers is doing some really cool sports apparel right now, featuring NHL tank tops that have an awesome look and feel to them. So you can get an NHL look to them, but they don't have the bagginess of a sweater feel. Now you can rep the Bruins even in the summer heat with the start of the NHL season right around the corner. Now is the time to pick up some cool Bruins gear with the season opener coming up later this month. And especially as we get closer to the holidays, they make excellent gifts. We'll have some of those for you. We'll be repping on the show coming up soon. They have tank tops that have an awesome feel to them. And you can get, they have tank tops that have an awesome look and feel to them. So they've got an NHL jersey look to them, but don't have the bagginess of a sweater. They have both men and women's tank top sizes are available, and they have some cool looking hockey shorts and joggers as well. Their assortment is huge, as they've got jerseys for every NHL team in tank top form, plus some throwbacks like the Hartford Whalers, which look pretty sick. You can check them out at benchclearers.com. You can use the promo code PRO and save 15% on your first order. No moral victories, as they say, for the New England Patriots as they lose to 27-24 to the Green Bay Packers in overtime. But if you listen to some of the commentators around town, a lot of moral victories, considering they only lost by 3 in overtime. Joe, Brian Hoyer thrust into the starting job after Mac Jones came up lame a couple of weeks ago, playing hopscotch over to the sidelines. Severe ankle injury. He'll be out for multiple weeks, probably this week as well. Brian Hoyer didn't last long. He only lasted about 7 minutes in the game before he was knocked out. And Bailey Zappe, the 4th-round rookie from this past year's draft, was into it and actually held down the game pretty well, I thought, for the Patriots.
Not everybody. There's a faction of people in this town that are already making this out to be Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady 2.0. Bailey Zappe is going to be serviceable, I guess. They were very conservative with him. 10 of 15, 99 yards and a touchdown. In 3 quarters and a few minutes in the first. I don't know. I'm still frustrated with this coaching staff. I thought they played well Sunday. But I don't know about you guys, but when I spend money on something, I tend to use it. You know, I'm not going to buy a Lamborghini and leave it in the garage. I'm not going to buy a huge TV and never turn it on. So why are Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, and Jonnu Smith not playing football? This is the bigger problem I have. So I know we're talking about the quarterbacks and that's how you led, but this goes back to it. This goes into it. Kendrick Bourne, 2 catches, 23 yards. Hunter Henry, 2 catches, 13 yards. Jonnu Smith was nowhere to be found. Kendrick Bourne also had 1 rush for 15 yards. Look at that. They almost look like they know how to utilize them. This team's in trouble. Bailey Zappe's not going to get them out of trouble. I think he's going to be fine, but he's not the second coming of Tom Brady. I don't know. I'm fired up, but I'm so lame on this team right now. Like, yeah, I'm going to the game against the Lions this weekend, and I'm going to have a blast, and I'm going to have a good time, and I'm going to sit there, and I'm going to cheer for the guys in uniform. But I can't rightfully root for this coaching staff. I think they are doing this entire team and this entire region of fans a disservice. And I can tell you, in the back room, I'm sure they're using this Mac Jones injury and now Brian Hoyer injury and having to sign Garrett Gilbert, who was here with the team in 2014, and now starting rookie fourth rounder Bailey Zappe. This is a punt. This is easy for them. Well, whatever we do, we got a rookie at quarterback, so we'll just, we're not going to blame it on him, but we can just write it off as such. I don't know. I mean, I think Zappe's going to do fine. But I wouldn't want. I don't know. I mean, I guess when you watch Ted Lasso, I guess an American football coach can make it happen in soccer. But I think I'd rather have Ted Lasso coaching Bailey Zappe at this point than I would the bearded wonder and Matt Patricia.
I love the last one. Listen, we have to laugh to keep from crying, and that's what's going on right now. Joe's a crier. I'm a crier. Craig not so much, but
yeah, Craig just likes to eat popcorn while I'm crying.
Yeah.
Entertaining.
I'll never be able to live that down. That's okay.
No,
that's one of our special moments that we'll share forever. So it's okay.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, listen, 10 to 15, 99 yards. Once again, nothing to write home about. At the end of the day, he was thrown into a really tough position, and at the end of the day, he was able to, weather the storm somewhat in the second half. Obviously, I like that. I talked about the other night. I love the touch pass that he has to Devontae Parker. That was a nice play. That cross route that he had to Nelson Aguilar, looked pretty nice. Even though it was kind of high, and Aguilar had to go get it. But there were some nice throws there. There was also some players that we saw. It was like, man, why is he on the field? Obviously we start off with a false start, and the play in the fourth quarter where we thought they may try to let him win the game. He basically almost gave it away. Through almost interception. So, there was a lot of room for growth coming off what we saw Sunday. But assuming that he is the starter coming into this week, there should be more of that, put in his hands. We'll see. Once again, this is now a passing league. You cannot just sit there and run the ball 45 times. And it's funny because I know you and I did a show about that. We talked about that, the game last year with Buffalo when they did that. Cool. Once again, you have to have a balance. And once again, it was a showcase of the fourth round talent, right? Because obviously Bailey Zappe was out there. We saw Marcus Jones have an impact in the return game, and then Jack Jones, who I'm on the bandwagon. I'm leading the bandwagon. He's going to become the number one corner on this team eventually. Like
I think he might be already.
Yeah. No, that's fair to say. I just think to me he showed out, and it wasn't just a pick six. Like the pass deflected. He's on whoever the guy was, like a blanket. And I'd been saying the defense was decent from the preseason. They were way ahead of the offense. They still are. And they're the only reason why this team has a fighting chance to win games. So we'll see how that changes in the near future, though.
Did you fall asleep?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's where the Patriots are at right now. I think that
why are they there? Why are they there? Why are they there? Why?
They're there because of the coaching.
Bingo. So why are we in this? Like this is the most frustrating part when you look at a team, and the issue is glaring. And Robert Kraft has made comments with underlying questions about the coaching staff and the decisions that have been made and the signings. They spent money last offseason, this offseason. They don't go out and spend it. Well, because we already spent it. It's not how the cap works in football, Bill. We're not dumb. Nobody's dumb anymore, Bill. In the early 2000s, we might have been dumb. As if Bill's going to watch this or listen to this. Maybe he does. Maybe we see something different. But I think he's over the hill. And again, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think he thinks he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, but he's really playing Parcheesi. Like, I don't think he knows what's going on anymore. I think he's out of touch. And we're in there. I mean, this is a talented friggin' roster, man.
Yeah.
Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, Kendrick Bourne, could you imagine if Kendrick Bourne was still in that 49ers offense? That 49ers team is better than their record shows. That's a good football team, especially now that Jimmy G is back, but that's besides the point. Nelson Aguilar, sure, he's got bricks for hands, but he's been making it happen lately because they're stroking his ego. Devontae Parker was supposed to be this huge signing. I mean, sure, he's done enough, but like, God, you have so many weapons and you just leave them in the holster. And it's coaching. Like, this isn't the time to coach your defensive coordinator who you've turned an offensive coordinator how to coach offense. This isn't the time to do that just because you don't want to pay him because he's still getting paid by the Lions who you play this week. I mean, you bet your ass Dan Cambell is looking to come into Foxborough this week and lay wood on Matt Patricia and the New England Patriots. Like, could you imagine they will throw Dan Cambell a parade down 8 Mile Road in Detroit if he beats the New England Patriots on Sunday. It'll happen. And everybody out here is like, well, they can't lose to the Lions. You're right. They can't lose to the Lions. This is a must-win game.
I have to think in Detroit that this is more of a Detroit versus Matt Patricia game than this Detroit against New England game because they hate his guts so bad.
Which is why they would throw Dan Cambell a parade on Monday morning when they get back off the plane. They would have it ready to go. Like I'm telling you,
they should hate their ownership there too, because
it's one of the worst ownership groups in sports.
Right, correct. But what I'm saying is, I know you know, Craig just said it should be Detroit versus Matt Patricia, but no, it should be the Detroit fans against the ownership. Jim Caldwell led you to a 97 season, multiple if I'm not mistaken. Went to the playoffs, and you didn't even sniff the playoffs. You know, it became a Jim Moore meme. Matt Patricia's whole time there, playoffs. What? Like, kidding me? I just want to win the game. Like, and once again, yes, we know that over there they did beat us a few years back. They and on Sunday Night Football. I remember that was his crowning moment, I guess. But I feel like all assistants usually beat Bill at some point. They just don't have long-standing success that he was able to have. But yeah, I don't know. But I'm with you, Joe. Like I alluded to it on Sunday. Like to me, something has to be done with the staff. I did think that Matt Patricia did call 2 back-to-back drives that were amazing, in my opinion. When they went up to score 10 points to 17 and then 17 to 24, I thought, and I said it on Sunday, as the kid said, he was in his bag. Back-to-back drives. I should say. I was like, okay, this. If this is what it's going to be, then I can accept this. But it's not, and it's like the kid in school who you're like, okay, I know you have potential, but you got to show it more. But the thing is, it's like, okay, you're gonna show it on a Monday, but you know, show it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, I'm gonna show it on a Friday. You know, show it Saturday and Sunday. All right, well, I'll show it again on Wednesday. It's like, no, I don't need people getting. I need him to be. We need him to be better as fans. Once again, the defense is there. We talked about the defense, but like I said, from an offensive standpoint, it is looking really, really bleak. And I don't know where they go from here, because obviously they're not going to change. You know, they're not going to change who's at the helm for that. But I'm like, to me, like I said, the frustration level, even though it doesn't, you don't hear it in my voice, but it's there. Trust me, the frustration is
Just very frustrated.
Yeah, super frustrated. Ridiculous.
Let's play a speculation game real quick before Craig moves us on, because this is never going to happen. This will not happen this season. It's just not going to happen during the year. I don't think Robert Kraft is that impatient. I think it would take an act of God for this to happen. But let's say Kraft does get tired of it. Let's say they lose to Detroit. Knock on wood. They lose to Cleveland. Whether it's Bailey Zappe, Mac Jones, Brian Hoyer, Tom Brady, doesn't matter. Let's say they let go of Bill. Who becomes your head coach? Your interim head coach?
Probably Matt, right?
Well, this is a rhetorical question, because here's what I think happens. Everybody's going with him. Matt Patricia's not going to stay behind. Kraft doesn't want Matt Patricia here anymore.
Probably not.
Joe Judge isn't going to stay behind. We don't want those two to be an interim head coach anyway. Steven and Brian Belichick aren't going to stick around.
No chance.
Really, the only two guys on the staff that might be more loyal to the organization than to the coach are Gerard Mayo and Troy Brown, which is fine. But now you have to piece together a staff and put everything back together. It's not like when Jeff Fisher got fired from the Rams and it was just him that went, and then his OC took over, and like they kept the same coaching staff the rest of the year before they went out and got a new head coach. I mean, Bill's basically holding it hostage. Like nothing can happen until the year's out, which is fine. I'm not always a huge fan of and I'm not saying fire Bill either. I'm just saying, God damn it, just make an adjustment. Just make an adjustment and do something better. Because this team is not a 1-3 football team. They're not. They're just not. They're a 2-2, 3-1 football team. Should they be undefeated? No. But they could be 3-1 very easily right now if they would get their heads out of their rear ends and play some damn football and let their guys go out and ball. Like
that is the adjustment, though. It is the adjustment is. I mean, great. Like you said, it's rhetorical because it's not going to happen. But that is the adjustment. Like you. I think actually, Matthew, you said it. And I'm calling you. If you're not going to be good with him, what's the point of keeping him?
Right. Yeah, I said that last week, right? Like if you're not going to be good with him, then why be bad without him? Be bad without him. And let's move on because he's the only coach in the league out of 32 teams who refuses to name an offensive and defensive coordinator, which we still have our conspiracies on that. He's just his antics aren't funny anymore when they're not winning. I'm over it.
On the Cincinnati doesn't really fly when you haven't been competitive since mid 2018, and this team has not been competitive since mid 2018. Pretty much since Thanksgiving in 2018, this team has not really been competitive.
And that's what happens. That's what happened with COVID. I feel like the COVID year happened and everything kind of seemed to stop in time, and people forget that they haven't been good for 4 years.
Yeah,
like this isn't a 2-year thing. This isn't a Cam Newton's here and we're 7-9. No. This is 4 years going now. Since Tom, basically since before Tom left, this has been going downhill. And we saw it, and they still won a Super Bowl. And it's just like, guys, all right, like great. But we can't be held hostage because Bill wants to go after Shula. Like, go somewhere else and do it. That's the point I'm at right now. Like, go somewhere else and do it. Let one of these young guys come in that is going to actually talk to the media and be a personality and not be dry, because you can get away with that stuff when you're winning. You can't get away with that stuff when you're losing.
Truth be told, the only person that's on the, and granted this will not happen because he's been at this organization forever, but the only person I would want to actually replace Bill is actually Mike Tomlin.
That'll never happen.
I think he's a phenomenal leader. Yeah, but listen, in the words of $1 million man, everyone has a price. So
I don't know if he would last here. I don't know if this is the right town for him. I think Pittsburgh is the right town for him. I don't think Boston's the place for him.
Sure, but I think if you win, it's the right town. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, any town's the right town.
Right? No, but I mean, but especially here, when you win, you get catapulted to a different stratosphere. And once again, I'm talking about being leaders of men. We can say we
bring in Brian Flores.
Sure, either one. Somebody outside of what we have. You know, I just that's so fine. If it is Flores, cool. Bring it back. You need leaders of men in this locker room. Once again, it's going to understand today's game. And once again, so whether it was Tomlin, whether it was Flores, but those are two guys I think of right away. And I mean, once again, you said it a few minutes ago about having a built-in punting the season excuse. What are we punting for Bryce Young? Are we punting for Spencer Rattler?
No. I'm not even saying like a. No. Not tanking, punting. There is a difference
to me. Up here, the way we've had it, that to me that's one of the same. Like, and I know it's not, but to me, if you're punting, it's just like, well, what the fuck? Like, you might as well look for a draft pick, and then we sit there, we do a draft special on a 6+11, and it's like, oh, by the way, the Patriots traded the 7th pick to Atlanta for 83, 128, and 250.
Bill doesn't do that. When he gets a high draft pick in the first, he usually takes it.
Yeah, if he's top
And
10.
I mean, the last guy was Ron Mayo at 10.
And he was great when he was healthy.
No, that's true. That's true. That's true.
And now he might be a great coach. But now,
Right.
here's another thing too, is a lot of times and I said this in the off season, where we're supposed to sit here and trust the process and let it happen. And I said this with Chaim Bloom and the Boston Red Sox. I'm over him too, by the way, but that's for a different show.
Different show.
But from a Patriots standpoint, if Bill's going into Robert's office and saying, hey, we spent that money, we gave these guys 3 to 4 year contracts, we're really trying to get ourselves into a place, like, we're going to compete in 3 years, like, all right, maybe. But the only team, and I've said this before, and I'm crossing sports here, and I'm going a little more Boston overall focus here. The only team that was ever transparent with the fans about what their process was and what their direction was the Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
They were very clear about that. Even through the years with Brad as the head coach, they had the bridge years, and they called it the bridge years. They embraced the bridges, and it came from them. It wasn't just the fans. It came from the Celtics themselves. So now I look at these 4 major teams in Boston, and right now the only one that has a direction, even after their head coach was just suspended for a year, is still the Celtics. Like, we know what they're out to do. The Bruins have no direction whatsoever. Chaim Bloom can't keep his head out of his ass long enough to know which direction he's going. And Bill is just middling after spending all this money on these guys that are actually talented and can play. So what's the direction of this team? What's the point? Where are we going? And what I mean by the punting as opposed to tanking, Ray, is they're sitting here now with Mac Jones on an injury and teaching another new quarterback the offensive system. And it's like, well, we can't spread the ball. I can't throw the ball to everybody. Can't spread the ball out to everybody. It's like, then why'd you sign them all? What are we doing here? Figure it out. You're an NFL franchise. We don't have time for you to be Bill Belichick with the Browns. We don't have that kind of time. And if you're going to be that, then we're done.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, perfectly said. Like, and that's why I said it's one of the same. Like, I don't want, that's it. And I mean, you guys went back to 2018. To me, it was the Week 8 game against Baltimore in 2019. From that game to now, it has been horrendous. It's terrible. It's terrible. And, like I said, they're 2-7 in their last 9 games. 2-7. Sorry, after the game today. They're 2-7 in their last 9. Where are we seeing final? Yeah,
18-18 going back to the 2020 season.
Right. So basically, dude, you're like I said, you're living, you're walking, you're breathing, you're running, whatever word you want to use, in mediocrity. Like, it's just like it's unbelievable. So much that Craig has to stick the camera. Like, we're no longer shaking the room in New England. We're no longer shaking the room. South.
I know. We're
not shaking the room anymore. It's ridiculous.
I know we're sitting here bitching because I think it needs to happen.
It's warranted.
I don't think enough people are doing it that have, no offense to our listeners or anybody out there, but I think we have the knowledge to be able to do this. We've talked to people that are close to the organization. Karen Green, you can, Craig down in the show notes, our latest show with Karen. We got to work on that wink there, big guy. There are bright spots on this team. And I want to see all 53 of these guys succeed. Right down to Joe Cardona and Jake Bailey and Nick Folk. And
even he's having a rough year, Jake Bailey. He's like ranked last in like bunting.
I know.
That's not the best backs though. Like he's still
he shanked a couple. He shanked a couple against Baltimore, but
yeah.
Everybody's just having a down year because they don't understand what's going on. And Mac even said it. He said he doesn't know the direction of the team. Like, for your quarterback to be saying that, and then against the Ravens, he threw that pick in the back of the end zone that he kind of threw off his back foot, and it never should have been thrown. But that play never should have been called. And he's coming off the field going, it's a cover 4 defense. What are we doing? He knows the offense better than his coaches, and his offensive coaches are defensive guys, and they don't know the defensive look that they're putting out there. So on a 3rd and 6 play, when you're in field goal position down 9 points, you're gonna send your quarterback out there to heave up a pass to Devontae Parker. Why are you not putting yourself in a position to score? And then the analytics come back. Well, then you give them too much time, and your defense, blah blah blah. The defense was playing just fine. Just because Mark Andrews is a man among boys doesn't mean that you can. And Devin Duvernay is really good, and they have the best kicker in the league. I got all that, but you gotta play the odds sometimes. You gotta gamble. This isn't the safe league. Like I'm all about conservatism when it comes to football. Did you see it? You thank you, Ray. There's the smile. How I had to clarify myself.
Bring your back.
I'm a very progressive individual, but when it comes to football, I understand being conservative, and I understand not always airing it out, and I understand going with the passes over the middle and running up the gut and blah 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 blah. All the stuff that Bill Belichick did up until Tom Brady left. Figure it out. I'm so fired up now.
But even then, they had moments under 12 when they said, "Fuck you, find a way to stop us."
Yeah,
and we'll run the score up. The first game that comes to mind, and I know it's a way different personnel, so I get it. I never forget. Well, they then the Redskins, but now the Commanders. When the Washington franchise had a different name, we used to beat them 52-8.
Well, that's the interesting thing.
Go ahead.
When the Patriots did what you were saying, when they used to put up teams like 40, 50 points on the board,
right?
Comparing that to the team they had now, the team they have now, I would argue, besides the quarterback position, is much more talented than the team they had then. The difference was you got number 12. Yeah, well, sorry, Tom. Sorry for today. But you got much better offensive weapons today than they did probably Brady's last 5 years here. Brady's last 5 years here. What did he have? The
team I'm talking about and losing the Super Bowls, but
but
I mean, that's debatable, but either way.
No, he's Craig. Hang on. Craig's got a point. If Tom Brady, and I know we're playing this game, if Tom Brady had this offense with these weapons, he'd carve up every defense in the league. And Bill's being too conservative. I don't care who the quarterback is. Go out and play the game and try and score the points. That's how you're going to win. Don't let your he's settling and relying on the defense again. And this is where people compared this team to the 2001 Patriots on paper, because clearly they're not that, but they need to start playing offense, right? Because this ain't working.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what made it so frustrating. The back-to-back drives we saw, because it was like, well, yo, if you could call drives like this, where is this at consistently? And who knows? Maybe from that standpoint, maybe that's where the more victories at, right? Because Ted Johnson talked about it, Tommy Curran talked about it. They were saying from the game perspective, overall game, always a more victory. I can't get there because, like I said, Joe, they either could be 2-2 or they should be 3-1. Fine. Maybe the more victory part is how the game was called in the second half. How do you simplify the game for Bailey Zappe? Maybe that's where the moral victory is at, but moral victory is not if they lost by 3 points on the road. Because Bill did the same conservative stuff in that game. And there was moments was like, yo, go for the kill. As long as you're not throwing that Jair Alexander all day, because once again, we know he's an all-pro. They're not. This year they are a pretty good defense, and I know they have like 7 first-rounders on there, on that defense. So, they've got better defensively, in the last few years, but they were still giving it up to us. Like they were still letting us walk down the field, and walk them down. So the game was there for the taking, and you chose to say, you know what, let's just see what can happen. Well, like I said, we'll play it safe, and then you end up losing the game. And once again, I know you didn't have much to turn to at the quarterback position. I get that. I know that it was his first game on the road, rookie. I totally get that. I just think, and Craig and I spoke about this the other night, the play action worked a few times. The run game was there. There were just moments where they could have said, you know what, we're going to go win this game. And once again, it's about perfect example, right? And I know it's not, a Boston team, but I just think about what is done for this team's psyche the first 4 games. Look at the New York Giants, right? They go in there against Tennessee week 1. They come back, they tie it, or they're down by 1. Brian Dable says, you know what, we're going to go for 2. They get it. They're now 3-1. Don't tell me that for that call to say, I believe in this team. I believe in the work that we did in the offseason. You know what? Fuck it. Let's go out there and do it. Because now they're handling business. And we saw when they did it against Chicago on Sunday. So don't tell me that stuff doesn't matter. So when you say to your team, all right, well, let's just try to get a field goal for the half, guys, or let's try to play for overtime. You're saying to them, we don't believe that you're gonna function when the game is on the line. So of course, guys are having some poor seasons when your coaching staff in general doesn't believe that you're gonna make a play when it matters most. That's a problem. And it's not the Giants is the first thing that came to mind, but there's other teams that's happening too. We're seeing a little bit of a renaissance down in Jacksonville as well. Like other places that are happening where teams like, you know what, or coaches say, you know what, I believe in the work they've been putting in the offseason. I believe in the players on this team, and we're going to make things happen. And if we can't, we're going to make our own luck. That's the difference between what these other teams are doing right now as opposed to what Bill is doing here with the New England Patriots.
This episode of the 617 is being brought to you by BetUS.com. You get 125% sign-up bonus when you use the promo code CROW at checkout. And this episode is also being brought to you by the fine folks over at BenchClearers.com. You can get your favorite Bruins jerseys and tank top, Bruins sweaters. I don't wear jerseys in tank top form, so you can rep them all year long. You can save 15% on your first order using the promo code CROW at checkout. We come back. If you're listening on the podcast, we'll be previewing the Patriots taking on the Lions. I think we've had just about enough of the Green Bay Packers talk right there. I'm very excited to talk about the Bruins. I'm on the Bruins now. All about the retro jerseys, which are my favorite jerseys for the Patriots. I wish they would wear them all year long. But we'll preview that matchup coming up next on the podcast. If we're on the YouTube versions, we'll go right to it. And if you're on the stream, that as well. So we'll talk to you in just a second on the podcast right after this word from BetUS.com. And we're back on the 617 podcast here, brought to you by the Crow Worthy Network. I'm very intrigued by this Lions matchup. Ray, I'm going to go to you in just a second. But I was just looking at the standings right now. Very interesting stat that I've really not seen looking at this matchup coming up Sunday versus the 1-3 Detroit Lions. Detroit leads the league in points scored and points allowed with 140 points scored and 141 points allowed. So this should be an interesting matchup about this upcoming Sunday. Ray, talk to me a little bit about the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, they're a fantasy football dream, honestly. Jared Goff has become a fantasy football savant, so to speak, with the numbers he's been putting up so far this year. I mentioned to y'all off the show, I love TJ Hockenson. He's someone I wanted here because I thought he was baby Gronk, and last week he showed it against Seattle. 8 catches, 179 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He is a supreme talent. So yeah, they have, and obviously have Amon-Ra St. Brown as well at wide receiver, who I love his demeanor. I remember the game a few weeks ago against Washington when he's like, yeah, it's a guy that got drafted after before me. That was basically watching me on the sideline. Like I love that mentality. So listen, their culture's changing, but it's not translating into into wins. And I think that they shouldn't be taken lightly. And I think it's amazing to me how many have said, "Oh, you can't lose to the Lions." Well, my thing is, why can't you? There's no longer there is no longer a game on the schedule that we could look at and say it's a wrap. Like that is gone out the window after 2019, whatever. Like there's nothing you could look at and say man, you should pencil them in there for a win. So I just say, once again, Detroit can, like I said, they can score, but they also give up a lot. So I'm looking for whoever is at quarterback, whoever is out there offensively, to have a day, in the words of Broadway Joe. Have a day, because at the same time, if they're scoring on you, but they're gonna give it up, we should have a fucking shootout. Would that happen? Probably not, because that's just how it goes when you expect something usually to happen. But with this current iteration of the Patriots, but listen, Detroit can really go. They can really score. As you just mentioned, I'm just hoping that the defense is just as bad as they've been, so that we at least have a standing chance in the end.
That was the big talk heading into the season when we were playing the fun game everyone plays. Like, are the Patriots going to win this game? Are they going to win that game? Are they going to win this game? Pretty much everyone picked them to be where they are right now, pretty much 1-3 as we enter Week 5 against the Lions coming up this Sunday. They would lose against they would lose 3 out of the first 4 that they faced. Thank you, and then they would go on to an absolute cupcake stretch. I know, Ray. Hold on. To an absolute cupcake stretch where they were going to wrap off 7 in a row against some very, very non-competitive teams. But this ain't that team, man. This ain't Dad's Patriots.
Well, actually, they might be. They might be. They're not,
Yeah, they were pretty bad in my dad's time.
but they're Joe's dad Patriots. They're Grandpa's Patriots, though. That's the problem. When we're only going to rely on Andre Tippett and Urban Fryer and Steve Brogan. Oh, God. Oh, that's terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, the biggest thing about this game to me is that if Dan Cambell were in this on this show right now, he would be the most emotional person on this show, even though me and Ray are pretty emotional. He's a pretty emotional guy. I like the way, I like his demeanor when it comes to getting guys going. I don't know what kind of an X's and O's guy he is. I mean, you can see it on the field on Sunday, and like you can watch it. I don't watch a lot of Lions games, so I don't really know. I see him on Red Zone. I see him on the sideline. They always put him on because he's good TV. You are still talking about a Bill Belichick coach team, so this is where I sound like I'm getting back on the bandwagon. I still think the guy is over the hill. I think he's done, but he's still Bill Belichick, and I think that there's still some of those factors there. You're talking about Bill Belichick against Dan Cambell in a coaching matchup. You're talking about this really good Patriots defense against Jared Goff. If DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown play with TJ Hockenson being a monster right now, this Patriots team could be in trouble because they're set up. If they wanted to be, they could be Baltimore Midwest. They're set up very similar without the MVP quarterback is basically what they're missing. But they have the weapons that Jared Goff, we've seen Jared Goff be better. I don't want to say good, but be better than he probably should be with really good weapons. And he has that right now. And their defense isn't great. They give up a lot of points. So that means to me, this is the game where Bill needs to let Bailey Zappe play the game. They should be coaching him to go out and play. What do you got to lose? And I know I sound like I'm contradicting what I said before, but what do you have to lose? Let him go out there and throw the ball. Let him go out there and run the offense. Let him go out there and have some fun and see what happens. You're 1-3. You don't want to lose to the 1-4 Lions, but at the same time, hey,
Fun.
Water off a duck's back. Go play the damn game.
What's that, Joe? Fun.
What's that? Water off a duck's back?
No, what's fun? What's that?
Fun. I don't know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I have some of that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I would love to have that. Are you kidding me? But yeah, listen, they're stacked offensive. Once again, at the end of the day, Jared Goff was still someone that got to the Super Bowl and he was a starting quarterback. Let's not act like this guy is an ultimate scrub. Once again, I figure
he might be more of a scrub with Dan Cambell as his head coach over Sean McVay, because Sean McVay.
I think that's just the culture over in Detroit. Like Detroit has been. I mean, we laugh or not laugh, but we joke about how how bad things have been here the last 3 or 4 years when they've been terrible the last 30 years almost. You know what I'm saying? So the Scott Mitchells, the Herman Moores, the Lomas Browns. Jason Hanson's, Barry Sanders. I can't believe it took that long for me to get out his name. They're not coming with
Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. Johnson, they're not walking through that door. So, but they're also thankful that Joey Harrington's not walking through that door either.
Or Dan Orlovsky.
They've been cursed, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that he was so happy about what happened to Jimmy G today. I thought that was hilarious on Twitter. Oh, he was like, finally free. It was like, oh, I was
Not
like,
really. I mean,
they're gonna remember that dance. Okay. Well, we're never gonna forget that damn. It's okay. I'm glad that you felt free for that moment. But yeah, I don't know, man. This it's an intriguing matchup for sure. I think that I'm gonna make a prediction right now, not score wise, but just something that I thought about right now, because obviously he's not someone that's gotten up to snide as of yet. I do think this is a game that Kendrick Bourne goes bananas against.
Oh God, I hope so. I just want to see him play more than 5 snaps.
Right?
Haven't we been saying this for like 3 weeks now?
Yeah, we have. I mean, I felt like he had 4 catches for 58 a couple weeks ago. I don't know what he had last week.
It's 2 for 23.
2 for 23. So, it's better than 0-0, right? It's better than 0-0. I do think that it looks like Jacoby Myers is really hurt for real. So I don't know when he's gonna come back to the lineup. So I think that's what ends up happening. But yeah, I do think he is someone that they choose to incorporate more this week. Finally, once again, if it has to come from Robert Kraft himself, then it needs to, and not through subtle jabs, not through the media. It's like, look, come into my fucking office. I'm not paying him 7.5, AAV for him to be riding the pine and getting as many fantasy points as the 3 of us combined. That's a problem. Play Kendrick Bourne, play Jonnu Smith if he's healthy on Sunday, play Hunter Henry, and let's just see what we can do. We may have to run a lot of stuff that we saw Green Bay run against us last week, and we have Stevenson and Harris on the field at the same time, where we're dumping it out the backfield. So we're throwing a lot of screens. Maybe this becomes the 0-2, 0-3 Patriots where, Stevenson becomes a bigger version of Kevin Falk, and, we just screen him to death. I think that would be a perfect game plan to let Aiden Hutchinson, let those guys rush up the field, and let me just dump it right over and let Ramondre Stevenson go to work. Once again, I will say this every show that Joe and I do. We are the leaders. We are the president and vice president of the Ramondre Stevenson fan club. And now they are wearing the red jerseys. I definitely got to get his jersey. I hate to, but since they're wearing the red jerseys, why not beat them 59-0?
Why not? Not exactly.
That'd be great.
Yeah, the spread in this game is a field goal. I guess it opened at 2.5. It's now at 3 points.
So it's a pick 'em.
And there's basically, and there's a lot of money being put down on Detroit, and the over under is 45.5. I still believe in what they want to be, and they just don't know how to be it down there in Foxborough. I'm taking the Patriots in the over, because I think you might be right, Ray, where this is the week where they're like, all right, F this, F you guys, and they go out and score some points. Even with Bailey Zappe at quarterback, I think they got to stick to whatever plan they had, regardless of Mac or Hoyer or whoever the hell's under center. I think they score a lot of points this week. And I'll give you a prediction. I think the Patriots are going to drop more than 30 points in this game. I think they go 34-21 over the Lions.
If that happened, you were going to set the media world, the podcast world, on fire, because if you thought they were comparing this comparison before, it's going to be if Bailey Zappe comes out those 25 or 35 for like 350 and 3 touchdowns.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think special.
Well, no, I'm thinking
play a big part.
We see the man throw 60 touchdowns. Like the man can sling it. So it's like, if we see something along those lines, at the end of the day, it's still D1. It doesn't matter. The man played at D1. This wasn't D3 or D4 or whatever you want to call it. Like, even though those are tough places to play as well. The man played T1 and man had 62 touchdowns. Like, to me, let him go. Let him go. Just let him.
They have to lose.
So yeah, what do you got? Yeah, you don't have, once again, you're not going to the Super Bowl. You're not going to the AFC Championship game. You're most likely not going to the wild card. So, but I want to give you the floor, Mr. Malcolm, because we had a nice exchange the other day on the Discord where you mentioned to me that you believe that they're going to go 9-4 the rest of the way.
Oh, no, I don't believe that.
And I was like, you don't believe that. He was like, sure I do. And I was like, I'm like, you know too much to say this. And I was like, what's going on? That's
because they went 10-7 last year. Because they went 10-7 last year.
Oh yeah, that's out.
They got to go 9-4 to go 10-7. They got to go 9-4. They're not going to go 10-7 at this point. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll all be blown out of the water. In 2014, when they were 2-2 and they were coming off an ass whooping against Kansas City, I said to Mike, I was like, they're done. Or I said on Facebook, they're done. This is over. And Mike was like, not so fast. He Lee Corso'd me. And the Patriots went on to win the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go on to win the Super Bowl. They don't have the roster. They don't have the coaching staff. They don't have the quarterback to go on and win a Super Bowl. And there's just no way they go 9-4 down the stretch. Not with some of the teams they got to play. They still got to play Buffalo. They got to play Miami again. The Jets aren't going to be a walk in the park. There's too many tangibles. But no, they're not going to go 9-4.
But we can really make a case, and that's the wild part. We can really make a case for every game the rest of the way that they could get, either they win by a field goal or they get blown off the field.
But that comes from fandom. Like, I mean, could they go out and beat Buffalo in New England? Sure, absolutely they could. I mean, isn't going to happen? Probably not.
I'm not even. Listen. Listen. You remember the rant because you was a part of it. The rant I went on last year when that happened in our group chat. I couldn't believe. Like I said, you would have thought they lost the wave when they went up to Buffalo and won that game, running 45, 50 times.
That was so much fun. I loved everything about that game.
Yeah.
And that was some sorry, dropping my phone over here. That was some smash mouth, hard nose football. And
I was mad though, because I was like, this is not sustainable. And it was
but it wasn't, but it's not gonna be 50-mile-an-hour gusts every game either. Like,
right.
I mean, and then there's the game from 2007 against Tennessee where it snowed the whole time. And Brady was still throwing bombs to Randy Moss. It's like,
right.
I'm literally watching the highlights of that right now.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, Randy Moss and Wes Walker did whatever they wanted again. Like
Lawrence Maroney too.
Tennessee always became a victim. It didn't matter if it was the 03 playoffs. It didn't matter if it was that game that we're talking about. 09. Then I think the 2017 playoffs when Kevin Bryant was talking crazy shit. And Brady was like, okay, bet. Tennessee should know. What if you're like, don't just, leave it alone in that regard. I mean, now it's Lord. Oh, no, we smacked them last year too with Mac Jones. So it doesn't matter. But yeah, listen, like I said, back to the red uniforms. I would love to see a 59-0 performance. I would love that. That would be great. Once again, I want the red jerseys. I will make my way out there. Maybe I'll run into you, Joe, like I did for the Revolution game a couple of years back. That was cool. Maybe I grab some Red Robin. I like Red Robin.
No, not a sponsor.
Not sponsor. Skip Jackson.
Could be though, Red Robin. If anybody's listening to Red Robin, we will absolutely take you as a sponsor. Every time I've gone, I don't think I've ever actually asked for extra fries, even though they're endless. So feel like I might need a basket of fries at some point.
Right, exactly.
Listen,
right.
Say you guys get back to us, let us know. But as of right now, Red Robin not a sponsor, though they are a Patriot place. Good food.
Right, exactly. Phenomenal. But yeah, I would like to say I would they owe us to have a throwback performance. Once again, not talking to Andre Tippett years, not the not those years. Even though Andre Tippett was the best Patriot before, obviously Brady and those guys came along, obviously. But man, can we just get Can we just get a one good ass one? Can we get a one feel good moment of the year? And it better not just be week 2 of the Pittsburgh. I guess Pittsburgh. Like, I don't want that to be the only feel good moment of the year. So like, I'm hoping they find a way to win. I would love for your prediction to come right today. Do score over 30. I just know it's going to cause a crazy amount of controversy, even more than what's already been. You know, if he puts up crazy numbers and the win.
Joe, do you think there's a chance that Mac Jones comes back this week? Because I talked with Doctor Jessica Flynn last week, and she was very skeptical that he could be on the field within the next month. But as she mentioned, and as we saw, he returned to practice last week somewhat. Every injury is different, and we saw him walking around last week. He obviously didn't practice that heavily, but he was out there. He didn't have his bad. Obviously, his leg was still attached. So would that make a difference, or do you think they're already at the point they are right now that they already think that Bailey Zappe is going to do it? And to be honest with you, to me, if Bailey Zappe's out there, they're going to run the exact same goddamn game plan they ran against Green Bay, which might not be a bad thing because they almost beat the team. I think if they ran that against Detroit, it could win because they don't have nearly Jared Goff. All due respect, it's not the quarterback that Aaron Rodgers is, but I think. I think if it's Bailey Zappe, they're going to run the same thing out there, but I think they're already at the point. But I'm not throwing out the possibility that Mac Jones does not play this weekend.
Well, I appreciate you asking me the question, a medical question, and then reminding everyone that you had a conversation with a doctor when I'm not a doctor. But we'll get to this question anyway. No, he's not playing this week. But I don't think we're going to know who the starting quarterback is for the New England Patriots until the last
Friday.
Injury report comes out on Friday. I don't think we're going to know, and that's fine. Bill wants to play that game, fine. But if I'm Dan Cambell,
it doesn't matter who they prepare for. You don't have a great shot of winning no matter who's out there right now. That's the problem. So Matt,
if I'm Dan Cambell, I'm watching film from last week just to see what Bailey Zappe's tendencies were last week because nothing's going to change in 7 days.
Well,
so what you saw Sunday is what you're going to see this Sunday.
No, but the tendency is that he was nervous as fuck. That was the tendency. He looked rattled out there, but I do think
I think he would be more nervous this week when he's actually getting the start. Last week was the backup. He didn't expect to go in.
Okay, like
no way. No way.
I'll take us 3 here for when I joined with y'all back when we was back in college. There was a certain calmness I had knowing that I was going to be on there with y'all because I'm like, well, you know what? They've done this before. They have led X, Y, and Z. There's a calmness there. But coming into it, you're like, oh my God, like, you know, I don't belong down to this. But when you have time to prepare, like when you used to call us and say, hey, we're going to meet at 2:00 because we like what? Like when I had time to prepare with y'all, we were unstoppable. That's what should be.
Now we don't prepare at all.
Huh?
That's not true.
No, I know. I'm just.
No, wait, but don't ruin the moment, Joe. I'm giving a spot, but seriously though,
let me get my popcorn.
I don't have any near me, but no, wait, I do think that if he has, granted, like you said, we're not going to quantify it, but I'm pretty sure they've already told him behind the scenes, hey, you know, we go through the reps, you're going through with the first team, and yes, there's a certain comments where you know, okay, I know this week I'm not preparing as a backup, I'm preparing as the guy. Of course, it's going to be butterflies as large as a Grand Canyon in his stomach. There should be because he's coming in from the jump. But I do think if you're getting reps with Kendrick Boyd, if you're getting reps with the other guys that are on the first team, there should be a different type of confidence coming into this game. But once again, you're not coming in against the 85 Bears. You're not coming in against the 2000 Ravens. You're not coming in against the 2002 Buccaneers. So he should be okay if he's going to be starting. He should be fine coming in Sunday. In my opinion.
Remember when you were a kid and you'd get a scrape on your knee and your mom would put a Band-Aid on it and then she'd go to take it off?
Right.
What did she do? Just rip it right off. Don't even talk about it. Just do it.
Right.
Well, that's what last Sunday was for Bailey Zappe. He didn't expect to come in. He didn't expect Brian Hoyer to go down with a concussion. So mommy ripped the Band-Aid off, and there you go. You're in, kid. Sure, it still hurt for a minute. Sure, he still looked a little nervous. Kid still completed 10 of 15 passes for 99 yards. Now, this week, regardless of who you're coming out to play, now it's, hey, I'm taking the Band-Aid off. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to take the Band-Aid off. I'm taking the Band-Aid off. And now it's being talked about. And now he's the starter. And now it hurts more. It's pulling those hairs. You know, yeah, exactly. But that's my point. Is like now I think, but point is, I think he'd be a little more nervous this week. Sometimes it's better when you just throw a kid into the pool and let him swim until and then on the flip side, it's, well, hey, we're going to put you in the pool and we're going to see if you can swim. And now the kid's freaking out, and then that's how kids are. And I'm not saying Bailey Zappe is a child, but I mean, he's a kid. He's going to get his first start on Sunday in front of a hostile New England crowd who are very upset with the coaching staff and the way the season has started. And they're going to think that no matter who goes out there, because there's a lot of pink hatters and a lot of casual fans and a lot of bandwagoners that are going to go into that stadium and think, oh, it's the Lions. We're going to beat these guys because the Lions suck. It may not happen, even though I have the Patriots by 13.
Yeah. Listen, we obviously want it to happen. Once again, I always preface my predictions where I want to be proven wrong.
Yeah, what is
I don't say again.
What is your prediction for Sunday?
I have the Lions winning. I think it's gonna be a
well. That'll.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I mean, listen, I want to be wrong, but I say they win 27-20 on Sunday. I think we see some more. I think we see some more good moments from Bailey Zappe. I think that they'll be in it late, and it'll be the same situation they went last week. They have a chance to tie it or go ahead with the lead, and Bill says, you know what, I just you can just put everything on the Bailey Zappe. It's doing the best he can, and I'm not exhausted. We'll see what happens next week with Mac, but yeah, just everyone's trying though.
You made me dislike him even more with this impression. I don't like him. I don't like him. Hey, red jersey if you're picking the Lions.
Yeah. Hey, let's once again. I want to be proven wrong. When I do the reaction show with Sunday with Craig, stay tuned. I want to be proven wrong that that they won. I want to have a smile on my face. And
there will not. Programming note: there will not be a reaction show this Sunday. I will be probably recovering from a hangover from a wedding.
Gotcha. Okay, so and I'll be hungover from a Patriots loss, maybe. So
there you go.
Give it away.
And don't be hungover because it'll be at the game. So so it is what it is. Maybe not, right? I don't know.
Maybe not.
Yeah, well, who knows? But once again, I want to be proven wrong. I just think that I just think that's what may end up happening. But I know you love giving so many predictions, Craig. What's your predictions for Sunday, Craig?
Come on, Craig.
Come on, Greg. You ain't got no job. Yeah. I think the Patriots win this one. I don't think it's going to be particularly pretty. I think that, just the way the Detroit's built right now, particularly on the defensive piece, that's all I really care about with them on. Because I think Patriots defense can hold the Detroit, especially. Is Brown back yet? Did he practice this week for Detroit?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. By the way, my favorite name in football right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because if he's on the field, then that team's he's an instant difference maker when he was drafted. Sure. He's been instant.
13.
Yeah, but I do think that the Patriots are in a very interesting spot. Right, I do think they get a little bit better every week. They just don't have the talent and quarterback that's healthy enough to put them over the edge right now. I do think that Devontae Adams. I did it. I knew I was going to do it. Do it all in one time. Devontae Parker is
resistance, Craig.
Well, at the time,
he signed that contract. It doesn't happen, but I'm saying,
I know.
Well, as long as Bill's here, that stuff like that would never happen because it's just like he refuses to give those type of deals out. So
that's not true. That's not true. He's giving out a couple of those deals. Usually, just blow up in his face, though.
True.
But I do think that the Patriots defense is in the spot right now where they'll be able to hold Detroit to either 20 or fewer points. I do think the Patriots squeak this out. I don't know. I hate giving score predictions.
Yeah, do it. You love it. Do it.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite thing that we're allowed now. 27-14. I think this is
okay.
At this point, there's got to be a point now where the Patriots score over 30 points because they're almost dead last in scoring offense in the entire NFL. And it's just getting to the point now where eventually Patricia's got to put together some kind of playbook. It seems, I don't know if it's the same, if it's the thing where they say every week, well, Bill treats the first 4 weeks of the season as an extension of training camp. But those 4 weeks count, man. I don't care what you say. Those things really didn't matter when you had Tom Brady here, and they were pretty much gimme weeks. The worst case scenario, you left those first 4 weeks at 2-2 at 500. But now you just have guys. Mac Jones has not proven that he's anything better than a guy at this point.
Yep.
Brian Hoyer, we all know, is a guy, and Bailey Zappe is just a person at this point. Yeah, he threw 60 touchdowns last year. I really don't care about that until he does anything good in the NFL. Maybe he will this week. I don't think he has the arm strength or the talent for that. But until that happens, it's hard to make any solid predictions about what this offense is going to be. Besides the running game, they have an excellent running game and an excellent offensive line that can block. Cole Strange just had a great last 3 games. Isaiah Wynn, who we talked about on Sunday, if you missed that, back listen to it, effing blows. Andrews is great. I think he's the one doing the play calling right now. And Trent Brown's having a phenomenal last 3 games. He's had a phenomenal last 3 games, especially last Sunday in Green Bay. So those last 3 games for the offensive line and running backs, I think can beat a lot of teams in the NFL if the NFL was just based on running. But it's a quarterback league now, and Patriots just don't have the talent. So I have a tough time picking the Patriots to win any game, but I think they'll have enough to get by Detroit this Sunday.
Let's get out of here.
That it for the night?
Oh, I mean, well, this is one last thing before we get out of here. I know we're a little past the hour mark. Thoughts on Jamie Collins coming back for the 20th time?
5th time. 5th for real life 5th time. It's crazy he's coming back. He's on the practice squad. We'll see if he gets elevated this weekend. But it's their linebackers have been dreadful. The starters who were there are either relegated to special teams or already off the team right now. I don't think he can help. If anything, he's an extra coach, and I think that helps. Anything to help this linebacking core right now because their linebacking core is dreadful.
Jamie Collins is
yeah.
He's a good mind. He's got a good football mind. He's had his issues. He was a very good player, but I'm with Greg. It's more of a coaching role.
Yeah, he's got a role in the NFL book named after him.
It's true,
right? Yeah, game changer. But literally, he's the Brian Hoyer of the defense. Got it. Cool.
Yeah, basically.
I don't think he's necessarily good anymore, and I think he's got enough plays to make a couple of plays. But
I just want to see this one more time. I want to see that for one more time.
So just one.
Wait, a little bit of this, and then to mix it with this, we'll be good.
That'll be great for the audio version of this where people can't see you.
Got you. The Matt Junior celebration.
There you go. All right, take us out, Craig. I've had enough of this Patriots talk. They stink right now.
But maybe they'll be better when they talk to you next week. But
you know what? Next week they'll be like, they're going to the Super Bowl, but we'll see.
Yeah. So this has been the 617 podcast brought to you by the Crow Worthy Network. That's Joe Malkin. Actually, he's over there. He's over there, isn't he? There. Wait. Anyway, doesn't matter. Right, Joe Malkin's with me. Rayshon Buchanan is below me as well. If you're watching on the podcast, if you're watching on the YouTube version and on the stream. If you missed our interview of Jessica Flynn, I'll leave that link below. And if you're on YouTube, I'll leave the card in the top right-hand corner right now. But go ahead and listen to those as well.
If you're listening to the audio version, Rayshon is physically underneath Craig. Thanks, Craig. That's all I have to say.
Morally, he is significantly above me. So that is that. But for Rayshon Buchanan, for Joe Malkin, thank you for listening to the 617. If you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. Follow us on our social medias as well. That'll be linked down below. It's for Rayshon Buchanan, for Joe Malkin. I'm Craig D'Alessandro. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the 617, and we will talk to you next week. Patriots and Bruins getting ever closer. We know you guys love those guys a lot more than you like the Patriots right now. So we'll talk to you next week.